Namaskar, good afternoon, and good to see you after some time. Thank you all for coming to this special briefing session. Today we have a briefing on two important incoming visits. We have the President of Belarus who's actually landing this evening, and we also have a briefing on the visit of the Prime Minister of Japan, which is going to start from day after tomorrow. I have with me JSERS, Mr. G.V. Srinivas, who will brief you all on the visit of the President of Belarus. And on my right is Mr. Pranay Verma, Joint Secretary East Asia, who will brief you on the visit of Prime Minister of Japan to India. So without any further ado, I pass on the floor to Srinivas to take you through the visit of the President of Belarus.
Thank you, Ravish. As Ravish has just stated, the President of Belarus would be arriving this evening to have the entire day of substantive engagement tomorrow. He is on a state visit after 10 years of a gap. The last time he had visited India was in 2007. Of course, the previous one prior to that was in 1997. So this is actually very timely and overdue visit which is happening now. Last year in Tashkent summit, when Prime Minister had gone for Shanghai Cooperation Organization, that time he had met President Lukashenko. That was the first meeting between these two leaders, our Prime Minister and President Lukashenko. We set the entire ball rolling, and this visit happening now. Being a state visit, we will be having the program around those lines, including the forecourt ceremonial function, Rajghat, call by External Affairs Minister, meeting with the Vice President, discussions, the talks with the Prime Minister in the afternoon tomorrow. Signing of the agreements will be one of the components after the talks are over. To then gradually in the evening have one-to-one with the President, ending with the banquet. So that is the program which the President will follow, but he is accompanied by a very large delegation, both official, business as also media contingent. The last number which I saw was around 60. The delegation, many of them have arrived even today, and they are already having parallel engagements with the various line ministries. There is also a business forum which has been which was just organized today. And as to the relationship and the areas of collaboration, as we know, we have been collaborating in many areas. For example, I'll give you one: powder metallurgy, Hyderabad Center, which we have Advanced Research Center in powder metallurgy, was established in Hyderabad with the help of Belarus. They had sent us both equipment and technology, so much so that one of the technologies has since been commercialized by one of the companies of India and is being also introduced in the market. That is one of the success stories which I can point. It also indicates the strength of relationship between India and Belarus in this particular area. As we speak, there are many other areas also which are being discussed with Belarus. Of course, a lot is work in progress. Some of them may fructify tomorrow as they sign the MOUs and agreements. And that is what I have, Ravish, before I pass on to you. Thank you.
Pranay, over to you to take us through Prime Minister of Japan's visit to India.
Thank you, Ravish. As you would have seen the press release this morning from MEA, that Prime Minister of Japan, His Excellency Shinzo Abe, will be paying an official visit to India at the invitation of Prime Minister Modi on September 13-14, which is day after tomorrow, beginning day after tomorrow, to hold the 12th India-Japan Annual Summit. Prime Minister Abe will be accompanied by his wife, Her Excellency Aki Abe. As you are aware, Japan is one of the few countries, very few countries, with whom we have a mechanism of annual summit, which reflects the closeness of our ties and the extraordinary depth of our engagement. This will be the fourth annual summit between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Abe, and their 10th meeting in the last 3 years. Prime Minister Abe last visited India in December 2015. Our Prime Minister visited Japan in November 2016 for the last India-Japan Annual Summit. Most recently, the two leaders met on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Hamburg in July. So the frequency of their meeting clearly points to the high level of importance both sides attach to this partnership. which is characterized, as you know, as a special strategic and global partnership. Let me run you briefly through the program elements. Firstly, this is a visit with all engagements arranged in Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar. This also shows the increasingly important role our states are playing in the conduct of our foreign policy as well as our economic diplomacy. Prime Minister Abe and Mrs. Abe will arrive Ahmedabad in the afternoon of September 13th. That evening, they will be accompanied by Prime Minister Modi on a visit to the Sabarmati Ashram, where they will pay their respects to Mahatma Gandhi. Later, Prime Minister Modi will host dinner for both Prime Minister Abe and Mrs. Abe. On the 14th, the two Prime Ministers in the morning will attend the groundbreaking ceremony of the Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail, which is a flagship project of India-Japan collaboration, at a site near the Sabarmati railway station in Ahmedabad, marking the commencement of the project. They will also, through video links, conduct the groundbreaking of the high-speed railway training institute being set up in Vadodara. After that, the two leaders will take a tour of the Dandi Kutir in Gandhinagar, which is India's largest museum, built on the life and teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. At noon, the two Prime Ministers will hold delegation-level talks. This will be followed by a brief ceremony involving exchange of documents and the two leaders' statements to the media. Prime Minister Modi will host lunch for Prime Minister Abe and his delegation. In the afternoon, the two Prime Ministers will attend the India-Japan Business Plenary. It's a business event. There will be a business delegation present from both sides. The India-Japan Business Plenary will be in the form of a closing ceremony of various business events which will be running through the day. A detailed program is being planned. In the evening, a dinner will be hosted by the Chief Minister of Gujarat. The dinner will be accompanied by a cultural performance, and after the dinner, Prime Minister Abe and Mrs. Abe will depart for Tokyo. So the entire program reflects an impressive expansion and a deepening of our partnership with Japan across a wide spectrum of agenda, and also shows Japan's increasing engagement in India's infrastructure development and in some of India's flagship initiatives such as Make in India, Skill India, Digital India, etc. The program also showcases a deep appreciation on both sides of the potential that exists for Japan's technology, best practices and resources to accelerate India's modernization and growth. Our shared values of openness, democracy and respect for the rule of law, and a high degree of convergence in the political, economic and strategic interests provide an enduring basis for a strong partnership between India and Japan. And we are confident that Prime Minister Abe's visit will present an occasion to demonstrate this concretely. Thank you.
Thank you, Pranay. Now the floor is open to questions. Yes, please. After.
Hi, my name is Nimish Kumar from Hindustan Samachar News Agency. My question to Mr. Srinivas. Mr. Srinivas, could you please tell us what is the amount of bilateral business between India and Belarus, and which are the core areas?
Okay. Thank you. Depending upon the source, Indian source indicates it around $200 million of trade, $200 million plus. The Belarusian sources indicate $400 million. The discrepancy invariably which we have seen is in the nature of what we really count as the export and import. Foreign countries generally, even third country exports and imports are counted as trade from India. So that's the discrepancy, but be as it may, the mainstay of the trade is actually potash imports from Belarus into India. $234 million is the figure which I saw last. So more than $200 million based on the long-term agreements which we have signed with Belarus for sourcing potash supplies is the mainstay. And from our side, it's all spread around various areas, including pharmaceuticals, which are exported from the Indian side. Ours is more or less very evenly spread out, barring this potash import from the Belarusian side, which is only very heavily in that favor. Thank you.
Are there any other questions on Belarus? Because that, okay, please.
Belarus is a member of the NSG. So, any talks?
No, all areas of bilateral interest will be discussed. So I cannot really guess beforehand whether this will be forming part of the discussion, but yes, every area will be under discussion.
Just hold on. Please use the mic.
What's the country's stand on NSG, India's bid for the NSG membership, and of course the UNSC also? Where does the country stand on both the issues?
No, on both the cases, Belarus is supportive of the Indian position, both in the application as also in the nature of the UNSC permanent membership. They supporting? Yes.
Any other question on Belarus before we move on to Japan? Thank you. Any questions on Japan or the visit of Prime Minister of Japan? Akhilesh ji?
So in last two summits, India and Japan had agreed that Japan will support in infrastructure development, specifically in northeastern states. So what is the development on this and what are the problems in this?
Yes, please.
Sir, any statement that you'd like to make on the Asia-Africa growth corridor? Is that going to be announced during the visit? And any numbers as to what the investments are likely to be?
I'll take one more and before I ask Pranay to answer these three questions.
So, Nanima from Hindu Business Line, will there be any discussion on the defense deal, the amphibious aircraft? I mean, last week our former defense minister was there meeting their defense minister. Will there be any discussion on that?
Well, the question on Northeast, the cooperation and development of Northeast, as you would have seen in our previous communiques, joint statements, that is an area where we have agreed to cooperate. And I think it flows from our overall approach to looking at our relationship where Japan is a valued partner for India's infrastructure development. So that applies in the Northeast, in our efforts for the Northeastern region as well. There are discussions going on, and we hope that there will be concrete progress in that area. On Asia-Africa growth corridor, as you know, this is an ongoing exercise, and clearly this is an area where we are looking at collaboration with Japan in third countries. And this is again something that that is acquiring gradual maturity as we are discussing not only with each other but also with those concerned countries. And this is clearly part of our overall dialogue agenda. On the amphibious aircraft, I think you would have seen the joint statement which came out after Sri Jaitley's visit to Japan this month, and I don't think I can really prejudge at this point of time what kind of discussions will be held, but clearly defense cooperation with Japan remains an area of priority for us.
Sir, are any defense companies coming from Japan? Are they part of the delegation?
I don't have a firm information on that. I'll have to check on that.
Sir, any project started after civil nuclear deal came into force?
So in terms of third countries where we're looking to cooperate with Japan to together work, the Africa Growth Corridor, Asia-Africa Growth Corridor, of course, is one such project. What are some of the other third country initiatives that we're exploring with Japan?
Well, on the civil nuclear cooperation, as you are aware, the civil nuclear agreement, bilateral agreement between India and Japan, which was ratified in July this year. So it has come into effect, and now it is for the two sides to really start those discussions to look at how to take this forward in a manner that contributes to India's civil nuclear program. As regards collaboration in third countries, I think this is really something that is in the realm of discussion right now. We are still some distance away from where we can confirm what kind of projects and where they will be located. So I think it'll be something that we will urge you to keep an eye on future discussions and developments.
Last round of questions. Yes, please.
Can you tell us which are the sectors Japan is interested to invest in Northeast?
Anybody else? No, you have already asked.
Sir, Japanese ambassador recently spoke about the freedom of navigation. Will this issue also be coming, sir, or any kind of a cooperation expected in this aspect, sir?
Well, on northeastern, the sectors, I think the discussions are clearly to begin in depth. So what kind of projects and what sectors, it will clearly be in consultation with the stakeholders, with the concerned departments of the government of India, as well as the northeastern states. I think that's still a work in progress. In terms of the Japanese ambassador's comments, I think it will not be proper for me to comment on what the ambassador of another country has spoken on. But if you look at our previous joint statements, clearly this is an area which has been touched upon, and both countries' shared views have been articulated there.
Okay, the last question, the two, one here and here.
The joint statement which was issued after Mr. Jaitley's visit to Japan says that India and Japan will expand and deepen the objectives of Malabar exercise. Could you throw a bit more light on that?
There's a sense from the Japanese side that they are very keen to push the sale of US-2I. Is there likely to be some conclusion to this? Because this has been before the BJP and the Congress government for almost, I think, nearly 7 years now. Thank you.
On the Malabar exercise, you are aware Japan was invited for Malabar exercise this year, and clearly there is a value that they add to this activity. On details of where and how it will be and what will be the level of participation, I think I would urge you to get those details from our Ministry of Defense colleagues. In terms of the question on US-2, I think I have said that before. I wouldn't really venture into prejudging what is going to be an outcome. I think outcomes are under discussion right now, and it won't be proper for me to comment at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming to this special briefing session. You can check later with him. It is only for Belarus and the visit of Prime Minister of Japan to India. And have a good day. Thank you so much.